Okay, welcome to Scale Without Stress, the key to grow your business without burning out. My name is Laurie McNaughton, and I am your Scale Up Biz Coach. I want to welcome everyone here. It looks like we've got about 12, 13 people here, 13. So really, I call this your strategic business success blueprint. So it's how do you scale your business and free up your life? So I have a dream. Stole that from Martin Luther King Jr. Not that I pretend to be anything like that man. He was a great man, but I loved that speech, and I'm sure many of you can remember that speech. So here's my dream. I want to share this with you because I think it's important for you to think about this as well. Take for a moment, imagine what true success looks like. Fast forward 5 years from now into the future, your business has become more successful than you ever thought possible. What does it look like? What does that impact have on your family? And what does it mean to your team? And how does it affect your customers? And what kind of a difference are you making in the community that your business resides in? Here's what that vision looks like for me. My clients are all financially free. They have time freedom. If a friend calls and says, let's go golfing, the only question they ask themselves is, do I want to? Not can I afford it, or can I step away from my business? If they wake up tomorrow and decide they want to spend a month in Europe, they can go because their business runs without them and the money is not a factor. Their businesses don't just meet expectations, they deliver world-class customer experiences. They lead teams made up of people who take full responsibility for their roles and own their outcomes and hold themselves accountable. These team members are well compensated, often above industry standard. They love their work, they have fun, and they're proud to be part of something great. They enjoy generous vacation time and know in their hearts they work for the best company out there. And even when the owner's absent, not there, the business continues to grow, thrive, and produce top-tier profits. It contributes meaningfully to the community, making a real difference in the lives of others. That's my vision, and that's my hope for every client I serve. And that's where the creative process begins, with a bold, clear vision of what's possible. So, why Laurie McNaughton, you ask? Well, I had 16 years with the number one business coaching franchise in the world. There was 800 to 1,000 coaches at any given time. Multiple time award-winning top 10% coach for growth and retention. Why is that important? Well, shows that I can actually grow a business, but secondary retention rate is what every successful business is built on. If you have to continually generate new clients all the time, it's hard to get ahead. My retention rate was really, really high. And why was it really high is because I got results for my clients. I've gone to over 24 coaching conferences, and I've had over 2 decades of coaching business owners and their teams. Tony Robbins, I went to Tony Robbins Mastery University, Life Mastery, Date with Destiny, Financial Mastery, Power to Influence, and Unlimited Power Weekend. And yes, for those of you who know Tony Robbins, I walked on hot coals or fire, whatever they call it, twice. I went to Context and Associates Pursuit of Excellence, The Wall, The Advancement of Excellence, the Pacific Institute's Investment in Excellence, Peak Potentials, Train the Trainer 1 and 2, Ultimate Leadership Camp, Master of Influence. And I went to Toastmasters for 7 years and continuing education. And I also took continuing education at our local university, typically around sales, marketing, and business. So before we move on, I want to share a little personal information about myself. For the first 26 years of my life, I was completely directionless. Not in to get into a lot of details, but I was somebody who had a lot of anxiety about things and drank a lot. I was going to say a fair amount, but that would be not true. I drank a lot and smoked a lot of pot because when I was smoking pot and drinking alcohol, I wasn't feeling anxious about things. But then I woke up one day and I thought, God, there has to be more to life than this. I've got to get some direction in my life. So first thing I did was I moved away from my hometown and got a job in the city. And I started reading personal development books. My first book that I read was Maxwell Maltz's Psycho-Cybernetics. And it was at that time that I started to drink a whole lot less and stop smoking pot and started to really focus in on how I can make myself a better person. Now, just to share, I was somebody who had a lot of anxiety about things. Sometimes I might even have had a panic attack or two. Don't really talk about that much, but that was certainly part of my life. So what line of work do I get into? Sales. Nothing causes anxiety like having to make cold calls on people you don't even know. Anyways, 15 years in sales and marketing, or sales, and calling on strangers. And I was the most successful salesperson in two different companies. Right at the top, one or two of the both companies that I was with. So here's the thing. Why is this important? Because you can't tell me that it can't be done because I did it. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. So what else can you expect from today? Well, BFOs. You say, what's a BFO? Well, it's a blinding flash of the obvious. It's like, oh my God, you might have been doing this at one time and you stopped doing it. And or, you read it someplace and you knew you should have been doing it, but you're not doing it. Or were part of a group of business owners who got together and you knew you should have been doing it, but you weren't doing it. Here's the thing. It's not enough to know. You have to do. And it's through actions that you create momentum. And when you create momentum, you create bigger and better results. So, as it says here, it's not enough to know. And I got to say this guy's name, and it's not easy to say. Epictetus. It's impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. So, park the I know for the next 45 minutes. Take plenty of notes, get your paper and pen out, take lots of notes, and then as soon as we're done, review those notes because here's the thing, they've proven that if you review your notes right after you write them all, meaning after this presentation, you'll retain 50% more than what you would have if you didn't take any notes at all and didn't review those notes. And then if you review them again in a week, the retention rate goes up even higher. Okay, so let's keep moving along. The bottleneck trap. You've built a business with passion and effort and hard work, but now you become the bottleneck in the company. Your team struggles to work without you. The systems all live inside your head, and your hours keep growing, and the profits stay flat or might even be shrinking. The first thing you got to do is stop blaming other people. Don't make excuses and don't go into denial. So what do I mean? Don't blame your team. Don't blame your customers. Don't blame the economy. Don't blame. Just stay away from the blame. Don't make excuses. Here's the number one excuse that I hear from clients. I didn't have enough time. Bullshit. Sorry. Bluntly. Bull. Here's the thing. How many hours did you spend watching television last night? Or how many hours did you spend on your phone? There we go. Spend on your phones or on social media doing distraction behavior. I'm going to talk about that in a later slide, but don't make any excuses. Commit to success. Here's the thing. The effort that you put in today will pay off so big for you in the future. If you don't put the effort in now, it's not going to pay off. So and I wanted to share about denial. Here's a great example of denial. I talked with a guy who owned a company that did galvanized steel and for the oil patch. And I talked to him when I first started talking to him. I asked him how business was, and he says, "Oh, it's great. It's really good." And I said, "Okay, great, awesome. Let's talk some more." We talked some more. I find out he's working 7 days a week. Sometimes he's sleeping at the office. That's what denial is. Here's an old saying that I really love. You can't read the label if you're inside the jar. And oftentimes, inside the jar, meaning you're inside your business and all of the stuff that comes out at you from every direction, whether it's from your team or it's your customers or your suppliers or the banks, whatever it is, keeps you stuck in that jar. You can't get out and look, what's the instructions for this particular medication? So That's your business. It's you're dragging around an anchor all the time, and it just, at the very least, slows you down. At the very worst, it costs you your business. So what do we need to do? We need to take ownership, be accountable, and be responsible. If you look at the first the first word responsible on the above the line there is to say, if it is to be, it's up to me. There's no cowboy with a white hat going to ride in and save the day for you. You are the person that's responsible for the success of your company. And you need to hold yourself accountable at a higher level than you would even your own team. Oftentimes when I'm talking to business owners and they look at this above and below the line thing and they think, yeah, that's what I need for my team. They need to be take ownership of things. They need to be accountable and responsible. And if I know that if they're saying that they don't take ownership of things and they're not accountable and they're not responsible, I know where the bottleneck is, and that's at the very top. If you're a person who takes ownership, you hold yourself accountable, and you take responsibility for it, your team will either follow you and do that with you, or you will let them go and find someone who will. So above the line, we have solutions and we have a business that runs like a well-oiled machine. So if you're not already above the line, write this down and hold yourself accountable to stay above the line. So frustration, anxiety, stress. I'm sure many of you can relate to that. Like I said, I've been doing this for over 2 decades. There's very few, if any, business owners that I've sat and worked with and or interviewed who did not feel a certain amount of stress and anxiety. So why does this happen? Well, the business grows beyond your initial systems. So you got 5 customers, you got 3 people who work with you, and you're easily handle those 5 customers. Then all of a sudden, those 5 customers really liked what you did, so they tell some other people. Next thing you know, you got 10. Now you're trying to tell these 3 people how to do everything all of the time. No systems, no processes. They're called standard operating procedures. So there's no systems or processes in your business. And your business lacks a clear structure. What do I mean by a clear structure? That's your organizational chart. That's who's responsible for what are the KPIs, what are the critical drivers, and who is answerable to who. And then because of that, there's leadership gaps that emerge. You can't lead everybody. If you've got a team of 20 people or you got 50 people on your team, you can't lead them all. You have to lead that top level of management or if, let's call it the leadership team. And then it's their job to gain that same level of above the line acceptance with the rest of the team. So lack of structure, leadership gaps emerge. One of the things, especially with small business owners, they often don't really see themselves as leader. Start looking at yourself as a leader because people are modeling your behavior. People are modeling you, looking for how do I succeed at this? And if you can't model good, solid leadership behavior, then they're going to model you. And then the last one here is the ownership carries everything, as I talked about. You can't have all these systems that live inside your head. They've got to be documented. You've got to create standard operating procedures. Okay, so what's the real cost to you as the business owner? You burn out. That's probably one of the biggest. There's a lot of reasons why businesses fail. There really is. Some of them, they run out of money. Some of them, they've got a lot of sales, but they still don't have any money. uh, and we're going to talk about that later in the presentation. Stalled growth, meaning you're stretched already. You're working already too much, and you're going, I don't want any more work because I'm already working 7 days a week. That's goes back to what I talked about in the previous slide. You got to have systems and processes, and you got to have the right people. So poor team performance. The owner is trapped in the operations, and what happens is your family time or personal time gets sacrificed. Now, here's a statistic that you need to know, you need to understand. 50% of businesses fail within the first year that they open their doors. There's a lot of reasons why that. A lot of them are really poor planning right out of the gate. 80% fail in 5 years, and 96% fail in 10 years. 90, just let that 96% of businesses fail in 10 years. So think of all the businesses that you know around you and think about which ones are going to be here 10 years from now. And we all know businesses. My dad was in business for 20 years and lost his business. Being in Alberta, if you're from Alberta and you're in more along my vintage, I mean, it still happens today, but it's never been sort of as devastating as it was back in the 70s and early 80s. Although it has gone, but that was a really nasty one. And my dad lost his car deal. He had two car dealerships at the time. And it wasn't necessarily because the business didn't make a lot of money, because it did make a lot of money in the good times. It's just didn't keep a lot of that money around for when, just in case there was some bad times. Anyways, um, so 96% of businesses fail. And I talked to, I don't know, I'm going to say thousands of business owners over the past couple of decades, certainly worked with a few hundred. And, one of the biggest challenges is that you just get burned out. It's like you can only burn the candle at both ends for so long. When you're young, it's like, yeah, I can go and I'm going to get up every day and I'm going to do this because I'm going to be successful. But then after 5 years, God forbid, 10 years, and you've been working like that, you just completely burn out. And I've had so many clients that I've worked with who were doing that, and we were able to turn that around for them and get them working a regular work week, not only a regular work week, but get them working on their business, not in their business. Okay, let's keep moving along. The vision. What business owners really want is they want predictable profits, they want accountable teams, they want business independence, and they want personal time freedom. Just being able to say, you know what, I'm not going to come into work today, or I'm going to take a vacation and I'm not going to have to worry about it. So, what true scaling looks like is team ownership, predictable profits, and owner's freedom. So, the three systems every business needs. You need to have a vision and you need to have your team aligned to that vision. Why is that important? We all want A players on our team, right? We want the best players on our team. If you don't have a vision and you haven't aligned them to that vision, A players are going to be going, you know what? I don't know if I can reach my goals and dreams and hopes and desires working here. I'm going to take a look around, see if I can find a job someplace else, or I'm just not going to come to work for you. You need accountable leadership team. That means that they need to be accountable and teach that to the people who work for them. And then scalable systems and processes. I've already talked to that, but that really creates order out of chaos when you do those three. They sounds like simple things, and they are simple. Let's keep it simple and succeed, as they say. Because when you have this team aligned to that and you have an accountable leadership team and you have scalable systems and processes, you create order out of chaos. Okay, so system one, that vision and alignment, a clear vision, mission, and core values. So here's how I look at this. There's a lot of ways different companies look at this, but the way I look at it is that the vision is where we're going, the mission is how we're going to get there, and the core values is how the team will behave on the way there. So I always think about it from the perspective of my business is my sandbox. So if you want to play in my sandbox, you're going to play by my rules. Because if I invite all the kids in the block to come and play in my sandbox, pretty soon they're taking my toys and they're taking them home with them. Tools, you get it? So clear vision, where are we going? Clear mission, how we're going to get there, core values, how we're going to behave on the way there. Team alignment to the shared goals. I already talked a little bit about that. When you have an aligned team, there's really not much that can stop you. As long as you have a profitable business model and you have an aligned team, it's pretty hard to fail. Ownership and purpose across the organization. That's more about accountability again. The more you take ownership of things, the more your team will take ownership of things. I talked about that in above and below the line. So accountable leadership team, organizational chart with clear roles and responsibilities. So who answers to who? Here's the thing. You as the business owner can't step around your management team and then discuss with players who play on their line, so to speak, on how they should or should not be doing things. You can talk to them about the positive things. Like I'll give you an example. I worked for Parkland Industries. They own Fast Gas. And Jack Donald was the CEO of the company at the time. And I was at a Christmas party and he just came up to me and nice guy started talking to me and I was in sales and he said, Laurie, nothing happens until there's a sale made. And so we really appreciate the work that you do. He didn't step around my manager and try to tell me how I should do things. He just simply came along to pat me on the back and say, good work. You can do that, but don't go and sidestep your management or leadership team because then it just takes their authority away from them, and now they've lost contact with that person. So delegate outcomes, not tasks. Really, delegation is about creating a system to do something and understanding what the outcome is so that you can train your team to do that versus abdication, which is just this job needs to be done. You go do it. And you think, I'm an electrician. I started electrical contracting business. I just hired a journeyman electrician. This house needs to be done, or this project needs to be done. Go do it. And then I go and I look at it and go, this isn't anything like I would have done it. Now, it's not necessarily that my way is the right way. It just means that there's a disconnect between us, the team, and myself. And so we come back to standard operating procedures and delegating with the outcome and understanding that this is how we do it at XYZ Electrical Contractors. Leadership development, develop your leaders. Develop your team. Listen, John Maxwell said in his book, 5 Levels of Leadership, I'm not looking for more followers. I'm looking for more leaders. And that's, if you're going to grow your company, you have to grow leadership, everybody at every level, because, you have a team of 5 and then you go to 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. You need leadership at every level. And then accountability to those systems. And we talked a lot about that. Standard operating procedures, you need to have them and they need to be documented. They can be on paper, they can be on video, they can be recorded, whatever that is. But they need to be so that you can easily teach and train your team on what to do. So scalable systems. So we already talked a little bit about that. I'm not going to dive any deeper into that other than to say, create your standard operating procedures, create KPIs and scorecards. So every position should have 2, a maximum of 3 KPIs so that you can measure the performance against that person. And when you do your performance reviews, you've got something that you can actually measure performance against versus just going, yeah, I like you, you're a good guy, or I'm in a good mood today, I'm happy, or I'm in a bad mood today, so I'm going to, tear a strip off you, whatever the case may be. Your people want to know when they're winning the game, and they want you to tell them that you're winning the game. They want to be appreciated, but more importantly is they need to know that when you're not standing there telling them they're doing a good job, that they know they're doing a good job because they're hitting their KPIs. So effective team meeting rhythms. Here's the thing. Daily huddles. Daily huddles are like 15 minutes max. You could have a daily huddle with your management team, and then they should have daily huddles with each one of the people that are answerable to them. And that's just a simple thing, is that how are you doing today? How do you make out with what was on the plate yesterday? Awesome. What do you got on your plate today? Awesome. Is there anything that's going to get in the way of you getting that done? Nothing. You need any help with anything? No, perfect. Go have a great day. High five. And then you should have a weekly meeting, 45 minutes, an hour long, where you're going to deal with standard operating procedures that maybe aren't working the way they're supposed to work. And it may be just reiterating your team, because people, they need to be oftentimes more reminded than they need to be instructed. And then you'd also have a monthly meeting, and that would be, okay, this is the target that we set, we're on track. This is the target we set, we're off track, whether that's to the good or to the bad. Then you can start to create, if it's not as good as it should be, you can start to create retrain or whatever, repeat, talk about your standard operating procedures, training, so that the next month you get back on track. Always check monthly your financial statements. Because here's the thing, if you're set a goal for X number of revenue and X profit for that month, and let's say each month you set this and you don't check it till the end of the year, when you get your financial statements back from your accountant, how do you make changes then? But if you're going a month and you're going, geez, our net profit for this month is off 3%. Why did that happen? Oh, we went over time on this. We had to buy more tools, or maybe we bought the same tools more than once because the people forgot to take the tools to a job site, which was 2 hours away. It was faster to buy a new tool. There's all kinds of things that can get in the way of the profit in your company, but you want to recognize what they are on a monthly basis so you can make correction right then and there, not at the end of the year and go, oh, crap, we didn't make any money this year. So again, systems, they have to run without the input of the owner. They just have to. If they don't, you're going to drive yourself crazy and you won't last because you know, like I said, when you're young, you can do things you can do you can't do when you get older, and you don't want to do when you get older. At some point, I hope you got into business because you wanted to have financial and time freedom. So you want to create these systems and processes that run without the daily input of the owner of the company. Okay, so let's get talking about your team because no business succeeds at the highest level without a great team of people. Together, everyone achieves more. So I'm going to say that one more time. I'm going to say it a little slower. I know I said it slow that first time. Together, everyone achieves more. That's how it works. Think about this for a second. From a world standpoint, if we could get the top people in every country, say on a solution to poverty, let's use poverty. We could get every smart person from every country to work together to solve poverty. And actually, we could financially solve poverty. There's just no political will to do that in the world right now. But it could be solved. So every problem, challenge that you have in your business can be solved, especially when you get your team together to help you work on it. Okay. So winning companies know how to get the right people on the bus. That comes from Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. Great. If you haven't read it, it's a good book to read. I know it's a little dated. Actually, I think he has a follow-up book called, yes, Great by Choice. Sorry, I had to look at my bookshelf. You can't tell because I got this backdrop going on here, but Great by Choice. So you could read either one of those books. There's all kinds of great tips in there. And I also think there's a little bit of a lesson in there because you're going to read about some companies in there that no longer exist. So just an important lesson to understand that things can get away even from big companies. I mean, we all know companies, Fred, of companies, well, Hudson Bay, what was it? So Blockbuster, another company that, they snoozed on digital. They snoozed on and Netflix took over, and look at Netflix now, multi-billion dollar company. Anyway, get the right people on the bus. You don't win without a winning team. So here's the thing. For those of you who think that your best employees quit because they got $1 an hour more from somebody else. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. We got to keep this light. We got to have fun. Listen, business is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be a torment. So popular belief is the primary reason people quit their jobs is because of pay, not according to Gallup poll of more than 1 million US workers. A bad boss supervisor is the number one reason why people quit. And it's due to the environment that their boss created and how they felt like they were being treated. This is why leadership is so important because I can remember a client of mine. They have an office in two cities here in Alberta, one in Calgary and one in Edmonton. And I was doing some work with some of the team in Edmonton here, and I walked into their offices, and they have a big warehouse there, shop, and I could just hear these two guys F-bombing each other. And so I walk into the shop, and here it's the supervisor and one of the employees. That is not leadership. Now, for the guy that was the supervisor there, he was just in way over his head and wasn't capable of being a leader of people. And so he left, and so did the other guy, because when you have a toxic person on your team, you have to make decisions about that. And this guy was a toxic person on the team, and uh, yeah, he went to work for somebody else, and he's their problem now. So what do people really want? Well, they want a career path and a vision and a mission for their own lives. So, like, if you're a employee, meaning you're somebody who is really good at what you do and you have a great attitude, you have hopes, dreams, desires, and goals that you want to accomplish. And if you feel like you can't do it working for this person, then you're going to go to work for somebody else. The other thing they want is stability. I know that there's business owners out there that they think the best strategy to make people work hard is by making them feel like they could lose their job at any time. First of all, I don't care what environment you're in, whether you're in a employee environment or a owner environment, meaning the owner has lots of choice and or the employee has lots of choice. That is just to me, it's a non-starter. If that's the way you treat people, you should really consider doing something else. And if you came to me and you wanted to work together, and I find out that that's how you treat people, that's how you see people, as they are a means to your ends, meaning you're just somebody I need to do this work so I can get rich, I'm sorry, I'm not going to work for you for very long. I am really about everybody. There's no reason, as I said in that opening vision statement where I talked about your employees are paid at the top of the scale or for the positions. You're making lots of money, but most importantly, everybody feels secure and having fun. So stability, appreciation. Remember when I talked about vision, mission, and core values. So if you see or hear about somebody on the team who exemplified the vision and the mission and the core values, then at your weekly meeting, bring it up, talk about it. Say, hey, I really appreciate you, Martin, because you really exemplified our vision and our mission and our core values, or one of the three. And for that, we have a little gift certificate for you could be as simple as Tim Hortons, a $10 or $20 gift certificate, or it could be, if you do it once a month, why not buy him and his or her better half, his or her better half, want to make sure I get that right, a dinner out. It's a couple $100. If you did that once a month, it's not much money. So appreciate those people that are working for you. And when you do that and other people see you doing that, then they're going to step up to the plate. And that's what we wanted them to do, is step up. Got to keep my eye on my time here. Communication. You want to make sure that people are in the loop. That's the meeting rhythm that I talked about earlier. Have some fun. There is no reason why business and coming to work shouldn't be fun. Just think of this for a second. If your place was a fun place to come to work, would people show up for work? Absolutely, they would. And then the last but not least is being fairly compensated. And this is a study done by Gallup. Again, this is not something that I made up. Comes from Gallup. Over 1 million employees. Money is not the top reason why people leave. It is number 6 on the scale. And you can't blame people. I mean, nobody's going to leave for $1 an hour, especially if you look at the first 5. They feel like they got a career path and a vision and mission for their lives. They feel really stable. They feel appreciated. They're in the communication leap and they're having fun. They're not leaving for $1 an hour. They might leave for $5 an hour. I mean, start talking about a significant amount of money, but even then they're going to think about it. So what does a bad hire cost you? Well, this is so a bad hire for hiring somebody that's late all the time, or somebody that's lazy, or somebody that, worse yet, lies. You want to hire for attitude first and then aptitude second. If you look at somebody's resume, somebody said to me, yeah, but people lie in their resumes all the time. Yeah, but your job is to make sure that what they say is true in terms of their skill level. And you want to do that before you even get them in the door. So you might ask them to provide you with something prior to having them come in for an interview. If there's more skill involved, if it's a low skill or no skill labor, then you don't really need to do that. But what what you want to do then is in your interview process is dig around for attitude. So tell me a little bit about life growing up. Where'd you grow up? What are some of the top lessons you learned from your mom and dad? Or who was a mentor in your life and what is the top lesson? If they can't answer those questions or they give you bad answers, and you know that attitude is going to be a problem. And here's the thing, it's very difficult to change attitude. So don't hire if they don't have a great attitude. And certainly if you find out that somebody's lied, uh, that you can't just get rid of that right away because you can't train for that. So 41% of companies surveyed said that a bad hire cost them $25,000 last one bad hire. 25% of companies surveyed said that a bad hire cost them $50,000 last year. Now, that might be in part because of what they get paid, but why is that? Well, lost productivity, whatever it was that you paid them because they didn't add any value while they were there. They kind of wreaked havoc with the morale in the team. And then, of course, any costs that are incurred when you hire them. Okay, so let's talk about how you get your time back, because I promised you there you're going to get 10 to 15 hours a week back. It's first of all recognizing where you're spending your time that you shouldn't be. So on this outside ring, it's not urgent and not important, and they are distractions. Then in the inside ring, you got urgent, but it's not important, and that's delusion. Then you have urgent and important, and that is the demand in the company. And then you have not urgent, but important. And that's what we call the zone. Now, typically business owners spend, and I might revise this a bit based on some of the interviews that I've done with business owners in the recent history, is there seems to be a lot more distraction, in part because of social media. But those things are taking up time that could be way more productive. Then there's that delusion, and there's a lot of time spent in delusion, and that's doing things that you think, again, are urgent, but they're not important. And then there's the demand zone. You know, we got to spend time in the demand zone because that's how we make profit, make money in our business. And how we do that, ultimately in the end, is we spend more time in that area of not urgent, but important. Okay, so know your target market. So this is another way where you're going to free up more time, because the time that you spend with people that are not great customers, clients, is a waste of time. So your A grade clients, if I want to call them that, are awesome. Then right under that are basic. And that's where 20% of the money that you make, 20% of the revenue, 20% of the profit comes from those two customer cohorts, if I could call it that. And then 80% of your time is spent dealing with people that are very difficult to deal with. You know, either they don't pay their bills on time, or they, you know, they're always trying to get you to change your pricing and give you better pricing all the time, just giving you grief, or giving the people that work for you grief. They're difficult to deal with. And then there's what we call a D's, and they're just drop them now, because they cost you money. They cost you time. And as business owners, time is our most valuable asset. What we spend our time on is the difference between success and failure. So those people that you have difficulty dealing with, that can't deal with them, send them a letter and say, you know, we're really busy at this time. We're finding that it's challenging to deal with some of your people. Here's some ways that we feel like we can work together better so that we can, give you the best possible customer experience that you can have. And if they go, hey, great, and they fill out this is what we can do, great. Now you move them up to basic. The basics, you want to see what are strategies we can move them up to becoming awesome. The D's, you want to drop them and get rid of them. Send them a letter, give them a couple of referrals for some other companies to send them to, which I find is kind of funny because you're sending these deadbeats to other people. Okay, so let's talk about making more profit. This is really, really important. So I talked about how you're going to get 10 to 15 hours of your time back. Let's talk about how you're going to add a significant amount of profit to your bottom line. So everything in blue is an action. Everything in red is a result. So if you look at this, this particular, going the wrong way, 4,000 leads, 25% conversion rate. So they got 1,000 customers, two transactions and let's just say this is in a quarter. It could be a year, it could be a month, depending on the size of the company. And it really isn't important. And it's not really important that whether this is net profit or gross profit at this particular point. It's just important that you understand this formula, because when you strategically look at how you're going to improve the profitability of your company, you're going to look at these 5 areas. So when these people bought something, they spent $100. So the revenue was $200,000. They had a 25% profit margin, and so they made $50,000 in profit. Okay, so let's just look at it from a strategic standpoint. If we got a 10% increase in each one of the blue areas. Now, keeping in mind, you're not going to, some of you, depending on the kind of business that you're in, may not be able to, increase the number of transactions, because if you're selling cars or homes or something like that, people aren't buying cars or homes every other week or month or whatever the case may be. So think of your business to say, which one of these I could have the most effect on, and really focused on that one. But let's just take a look at it, because I want to talk about the impact of this has. So just a 10% increase in the blue, 10% more leads, 4,400 leads, 2.5% better conversion rate, 1,210 customers, get them to transact with your company just 0.2 more times. So remember, this is averages, so 2.2 instead of 2 times in that trading time. And instead of spending $100, they spent $110. So that equals 292. So it's $92,820 more. And you got smart about how you bought, or maybe got more efficient, more productive, create some systems and processes. So things, you collapsed time and made something that took an hour, take a half hour. So your profit margin went up by just 2.5%. So you make an extra $30,000, $525. So gone from 50 to 80, over $80,000. So that's a 47% increase in revenue and a 61% increase in profit. Now, if I phoned anybody up and I said, listen, I can help you get a 47% increase in revenue and a 61% increase in profit, they would probably hang up on me, or they'd call me a liar. This is how it's done. Okay, let's keep moving. Productivity, maximum results with minimum time. So that's what we want to do. If you look at if you're a manufacturer, maximum results with a minimum time. How do you produce whatever it is that you're producing in less time? As soon as you do that, profit margins go up. The other is leverage, maximum productivity with minimum effort. So leverage is, how do we do more with less? And systems and processes is a way that how we do more with less. Training is a way we do more with less. Better marketing is how we do more with less. So those are all technology, training, all that kind of stuff is how we do more with less. And this is how you can create leverage in your business, and leverage creates more profit. And that's what we want, because remember I talked about, we want to pay our people at the highest end of the scale, but we need to be making our profit margin off of that. So, and we need to be making a healthy profit margin. That's after paying for everything, including myself. Oops. So systems. So 5 steps to creating a unique identity. This is important to understand because you need to understand who you best serve, because who you can best serve is going to be your best customers. I remember I took some car sales training back in, the 80s, I guess. I can't even believe I said that. But anyways, one of the things that the trainer said is those people that you charge the most for that car or truck are going to be your happiest customers. Those who, negotiated you out of your last dime of commission are going to be your worst nightmare. It's the same thing in your business. You only want to work with those A and B clients. You don't want to work with those other people, because they're the ones that you make the most amount of money off of. So you need to know who they are. So understanding the power of your identity, because then you can share this with your market, understanding, articulate your competitive advantage in regards to who your A customers, A and B clients are, and practice communicating that congruently on a regular basis, whether that's through any of your marketing, your sales team, or your social medias and or website. And then live it, live it. This has to be who you are and market it. That's right. I'm just looking at my time. I'm right at the 45-minute range. I got a little bit more to go. And I want to end off making sure that everybody gets a chance. Oh, by the way, I put into the chat a link that you can click on to book a discovery meeting with me. And a discovery meeting is simple. I just want to know what your challenge is, where you're at with your business, where you want it to be, what you see as being the challenge, or pardon me, the barriers or obstacles or beliefs that are getting in the way. And I want to know if there's some good energy between us, because if there is, then we'll book a complimentary coaching session, which is an hour and a half, and we'll just dive in deeper, really get clear on what the challenge is, what the causes are. I'll talk about what the solutions are. And then if we agree that this is something that we can work together on, we can either put you into a group program if you're a smaller business doing 2 million or less. If you're doing 2 million or more, we can look at a one-to-one program that works for you. So that link that you see there is in the chat right now. And also, if I will also be posting this to YouTube, so there'll be a description. Pardon me, this link will be in the description. So real life client examples, implemented this system, reduced hours by 10 to 15 hours. I know some clients I pretty well cut out 40, 50 hours. I have clients in the past who were working 6 and 7 days a week, who are working 3 and 4 days a week now. Significantly increase in profits. I had a client who went from 8 million and 4.5% net. So that's about 360,000 to 21 million and over 14% net, actually. And so that's 2.8 million and is on track this year to do $23 million. Another was working 7 days a week and doing less than 3 million. The last year we worked together, he did 9 million and did $1 million in profit. So these are the kind of results that we can get. And it's really about being focused. I'm going to share that with you in a second. So communication is the response that you get. Remember this when you're dealing with your team. Do you respond when you are activated? If you get activated, walk away. You don't have to just turn around and walk away. Just say, listen, I need to go think about this for a minute or two. And then when I do, I'll come back and we'll have a discussion about it. Because then you're going to have time to think things through in a calm state of mind versus, getting activated and get it agitated. And then the communication goes off the rails, so to speak. So do you activate others? Well, as it says, communication is a response that you get. Every action has a reaction. Okay, we don't need to talk anymore about that. So the keys to building a winning team is having strong leadership. So knowing where you're going and knowing that you're going to help people get what they want so that you can get what the company wants. Have a common goal. We talked a little bit about that. People, when they work towards something that they believe is bigger than themselves, they'll get behind you on that. Core values, you got to have that. Core values are how people will behave at work. So no F-bombing each other in the shop, so to speak. That's probably the worst example. Not the worst example. It's a good example. It's just that really bad behavior. You got to have a plan. You got to support risk taking. So that means that when people make mistakes, you don't jump down their throat. You coach them through it so that it doesn't happen again. 100% inclusion is, think of a hockey team has 4 lines on it. The first line, they make all the money, they get all the accolades. The fourth line is important to success because they're the ones that go out there to make, and their job is really just to make sure they don't get scored on. If they get a goal, it's like a bonus. But they need to feel like they're a part of the reason why this team wins. So, that's your plan. That's the reality of it. That's just a fact of life. If you've been in business for any amount of time, you know the truth of this picture, this illustration already. So energy times focus equals results. If you have bad energy and you're focusing on the wrong thing, guess what kind of results you're going to get? You're going to be stuck in a cat box that doesn't have any sides on it, and you're going to be dragging around this donkey, or you're going to blame everybody, or you're not going to know what to do. Leads to just unrelenting stress. Focus time energy equals results. Think about what you want. Think about how you get everybody working together, a team, having fun, taking chances. You're going to make more money and you're going to have a lot more results. So, what is the opportunity? Well, the first is for businesses that are doing less than $2 million a year, $500 to $2 million a year. I have a 90-day Scale Insanity Accelerator. It's a group program. They're biweekly sessions. They're done for you tools, private support group, and full accountability and networking and supportive group, a support group to work together. I can't tell you how big that is for clients, because when you have a group of people that you can work together with and support each other and bounce ideas off for other, it creates another level of camaraderie, and you can get results that you never dreamed of. And look at this as being a stepping stone to getting over a bigger rock. So make a decision. The main way to make sure you never get criticized is to say nothing and do nothing. Will you make a mistake? If you don't make a mistake, you're not doing anything. That's as simple. You want to show me somebody who is not making a mistake, and I'll show you somebody that's not doing anything. But don't let the fear of making a mistake stop you from making the progress that you want in your business. So just a quick look at this, as you can see the smooth hull of this boat here, and then you can see the barnacles in here. This boat is going to fly through the water smooth and quick. This one's going to be dragged. Build a team of people that is like this. Get rid of the barnacles. So very close to last, is the keys to success. Now, I'm not going to take credit for this. I actually thought, interesting. I'm going to use ChatGPT, and I put the accountability in there to create an acronym for me. So actions align with the goals. And when I read this, you're going to go, wow. Clarity in roles and expectations, commitment to follow through, ownership of outcomes, understanding the bigger picture, no excuses, only solutions, transparency and communication, adaptability in the face of change, balance between freedom and responsibility, integrity in all decisions, leadership at every level, initiative to go the extra mile, trust built through consistency, and why being you are responsible. I love that. If you're not using some kind of artificial intelligence, you need to start. Here's the thing, can help you think through some of the biggest challenges that you have, but also it can help you write if you're not a writer. What's the last thing I want to say about that? Oh, I know. Think of it as a wave. And if you're going to be a surfer and you're going to catch the wave, do you want to get on the back side of the wave or the front side of the wave? So get on the front side of the wave. So, some of the value that I bring is I've got a lot of experience, and I can literally work with you to solve any problem that you have in your business. If there's no solution to a problem, it's no problem. Don't make a problem for every solution. And I can help you work through and create solutions to every problem you have in your business. So what I do is, first of all, I tap into your potential through information, and then working on attitude and getting rid of limiting beliefs. Or as in the second statement, potential plus training minus interference times attitude equals peak performance. I put attitude in orange because that is number one. Number one. Nothing else works if you have a crappy attitude. And then interference and limiting beliefs are the same thing. So we need to get rid of those things. Okay. So for those of you who are doing 2 million and above, you may want to look at a one-to-one program. You got to have a minimum of 5 team members. Part of the reason for that is that we need to create some leverage in your business. And this allows us to do that. If you don't have enough employees, it's difficult to create leverage through your team. I only have 3 spots available. So if you're interested, get your discovery call booked. It's going to take that approximately 15 to 30 minutes. And it's really going to be just me trying to understand whether I can help you, and then us deciding whether we can work together. And yeah, you have to qualify for that. I hate to say it that way, but here's the thing: 2 decades. I've had 2 or 3 really clients that I wish I wouldn't have brought on, and it's in part because I didn't really understand how to qualify them at the time. If you're doing less than 2 million, get in on our 90-day Scale Insanity Accelerator. The first cohort starts in September 3rd. They're bi-weekly live. It says weekly, but it's not. It's bi-weekly live sessions. They're Wednesday from 10 till 11:30. They're limited to 10 business owners, and there's going to be some exclusive first round pricing going on this because this is a new program that I created specifically for to deal with the smaller businesses to help them get to a certain level. All right, I went a little over time. I did say it was going to be 45 minutes, give or take. I appreciate you listening in. No matter what, just book the discovery call. What's the worst possible thing? My mother always used to say to me, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Seems pretty simple. Book yourself a discovery call. Let's have a conversation about what's possible. And my vision is that one day we'll have an opportunity to work together to help you create this beautiful business that you have into something that not only are you hugely proud of, but also something that provides you and your family with a lifestyle that you dreamt about, I think, when you first started this. And it does the same thing for the people who work for you. Take care. And until we get a chance to talk, I wish you nothing but success.